welcome back to the Fake Straight Podcast. I'm the host, your girl, Tanara. Please note that the opinions expressed by any guests on this show do not necessarily represent my views or the views of Fake Straight Media. This podcast is intended for mature audiences only. Listener discretion is advised. Grab your favorite beverage or mine, a glass of champagne, clink clink, and let's get into it, y'all. Hey y'all, what's up? Welcome back to another week of the Fake Straight Podcast. We have a guest with us, Miss Angie. Angie, introduce yourself.
My name is Angie, and I'm a business owner. I'm originally from Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I've lived in Denver, Colorado for 8 years. I identify as bisexual. I am married to a male, and we have been married almost 8 years, and we have one son together.
I want to share this perspective. I want to hear about it, and I want to share with the audience. Did you identify as bisexual before you got married?
No, I never really put a label on myself. I never said I was straight, but I never said I was bisexual. I just was. But I was experimenting and had experience with both men and women before I got married.
Oh, tell us more about that. When you say experimenting, were you dating or was it really just like experimenting? Like, let me see if I'm interested.
Well, a guy I was dating in early college asked me to have a threesome, and
Coming in hot, Angie, hold on.
Because like a lot of people their first experience may be a kiss or a touch or a conversation. I went right in. So He said, do you want to have it? I was like, yes. That had really been a fantasy of mine. So he set it up, and then I remember he came over for a one-on-one intimate session, and then I was like, I've never gone down on a woman. I don't know how to do it. And he was like, I'll teach you. So
Not a tutorial.
Yeah, so he gave me a tutorial.
This is like the luckiest time of his life. Let me just say that.
It was probably, looking back, it was probably one of the highlights of his life. But he was very shy when it happened. So he taught me. He kind of like showed me and gave me some tips. And then he brought her in, and he just wasn't making conveison. I don't know this
initiated
woman.
This, sir.
Yeah. I don't know this woman. I'm just meeting her. I just learned her name. And it just got so awkward. He ended up like saying, I'll be right back, and just expected us to have that. And then we looked at each other, and we kind of just shrugged.
Did you think she was attractive? Like when you saw her, were you like, she's attractive?
She was cute.
Okay.
She was cute.
And how did he know her?
I don't know. I didn't ask any questions.
You was game. Angie was like, sure, let's go. Okay.
Yeah. So I think eventually she got up to check on him. And I remember going into my cousin's room and saying, this isn't happening. This is so awkward. I don't know.
Wait, your cousin was at the house?
Yes.
Why?
And her boyfriend.
And her baby.
But they were separate rooms. They were just chilling.
Was this an apartment or a townhome? Big difference.
It was an apartment. It was an apartment.
Angie, you're a real one. Wow. Wow. Who knew? I had no idea.
The things that apartment saw, I will say. But she was like, just go in, try one more time. And so
she's all pep talking him. Like, sir, this was your idea.
So I go into the room, and they're starting. So finally, all right. So I turn on some music.
Drink, or was there anything?
I think I did offer them alcohol. I'm sure I did. Yeah. So maybe it started hidden, and I lit some candles, turned off the lights, and we just got started. And that's when he came out and was like a little bit more directive, because as shy as I was, she was even more shy.
Oh my gosh.
But I think something about me is like I can be so shy, but once I'm in it, that
like,
all
it's game
goes
time.
away. Yeah, exactly. So I went down on her. Everything went down, and I was like, okay. Besides the initial awkwardness, that was a wonderful experience, and I would like to do that again. But I think that at that time, I really wasn't into the college scene. And shortly after that, I met someone who I thought that I was going to marry, and he broke up with me. through text.
How long did y'all date?
We only dated for a few months, but I'd known him for years.
Oh.
Yeah, so we went to the same church together. That's another story.
Right.
But, and then he broke up with me, and I started to get into the college scene. So the guy that I had the threesome with was someone I knew from high school, and I just started to let all of high school go and fully embrace college.
And you embraced it. You embraced the hell out of it. Okay, so was this threesome with this woman, was that the only time the three of y'all interacted, or
yeah,
that was it? Y'all were like, this was cute?
Yeah, well, I wasn't extremely attracted to her sexually. She was a cute girl, nothing necessarily wrong with her, but looking back, I feel like if you've ever watched Seinfeld, where they found something wrong with all the women that they dated throughout the whole 9 seasons, I can be like that. And there was something that just turned me off about her, and so I wasn't interested in continuing.
Damn. Savage life. Okay, so after this experience, you dated someone, you dated a guy, and then y'all ended things. And then you said, I'm just gonna start dating women, or were you just hooking up with women, or were you actually dating women?
So everything was extremely casual. Throughout my whole life, I've never set out to date specific people or look out specific people. But if I meet someone, I meet someone. And I met someone in college, and we met at a party, and we went out to a couple of parties also together, and we were just really cool. And I didn't even know, how she identified until we were at a party, and she just kissed me in front of everyone, and we had a little moment. A long moment, and I was like, okay, so we just started texting and seeing each other, and then I get pregnant by my now husband in college.
Oh, party's over.
Party's over. Party's over. I was lucky to graduate.
Barely.
Yeah, so I just went into hiding. I was planning on pledging. I stopped that.
What were you going to pledge? Say the right things here. Say them.
What I would pledge now is different from what I was going to pledge in college.
Okay. Sounds like you're on the right track.
But, so I just kind of went into hiding and stopped talking to people, ghosted a lot of people so that I was ashamed. I grew up in the church. I was having a child out of wedlock. And I remember Facebook had just launched, and everyone was starting to post their lives, and I didn't post a single photo of me pregnant.
Aww.
Yeah. So there was a lot of shame there. Me and my husband at the time, we were actually not even together, and I just needed to keep my head down. I had a full-time job. I was going to college full-time, and now I had, a newborn child. And so I just focused on graduating and kind of never really spoke to that person again. And I didn't have another experience until I was in my, mid to early late 20s.
Okay. So I want to go back to what you said about you having a religious background.
Yeah.
So how do you, or how did you reconcile your sexuality with your religious background? Or do you reconcile it?
For a long time, I didn't. And that was probably why I literally just came out last year. I think that when you're in church and you're taught these things, you're taught that homosexuality is an abomination. And I wasn't in a church that was also preaching love. No, we were preaching the law.
You go to
You
hell.
will burn in the fiery brimstone of hell, okay?
I don't care if you're a good person.
Exactly. So a lot of the things that me experiencing my sexuality early on, I didn't tell anyone, and I felt a lot of shame. I would pray for forgiveness after masturbating.
Jeez.
Yeah. I mean, and I was in one of the strictest, toughest Christian denominations. So I think once I really identified as bisexual, that it was probably a decade before I even considered coming out. It just wasn't something that I had to do. I was, with my husband, I had a child. There's a lot of assumptions that are made that I am just straight. And also, I can count on one hand how many experiences I've had with women. There have, of course, been women that have come on to me, and that's included on the one hand. But I think because maybe I passed as straight that I just don't get approached.
And what does that feel like? Like when a woman comes on to you, how do you feel? Are you like,
I'm like, hey, like it would be a treat. Like, please.
Very interesting.
Yes. It's, the one woman out of the handful, besides the one in college that came on to me, I was living in Atlanta at the time, and maybe some people know or don't know, but Atlanta is a hub for the foot fetish community. There's a lot of kinky people out there.
That's what the next sentence is going to be.
I'm going to surprise you a lot today.
Are you going to tell us a foot fetish story? Is that how
yes, I am.
Please tell us.
Well, I got into that community briefly because it's crazy. Because my son, I would get his hair cut and his barber noticed my feet and would give me would cut my son's hair for free if I came with sandals.
Let me see your feet, Angie.
Oh, no, they're ashy. They're ashy.
Okay. Over here getting haircuts and whatnot.
Yeah, and so he was like, this is big money. This is something you should try. And I was single. I was trying to get over the most toxic relationship that I had while in Atlanta, and I'm like, okay, let's have some fun. Mm-hmm. So I started meeting people, and they would have like parties, basically, where you can meet people, you can play games. Like there was a game where people had to couples would have to eat like whipped cream off your toes. Who could do it the fastest or something. And it was just it's
like a foot fetish baby shower.
Basically, it was nothing, there was no sex. It was just literally straight up for people who had a kink for feet. And even though I was kind of dabbling and participating in and showing off my feet, I never really understood that fetish.
Yeah. You're okay, whatever.
Yeah. Sure. But there was a woman who hosted a party once, and she just had that sexual energy. Mm-hmm. She was very fluid. She was free-spirited, and she wanted me.
I know that's right.
So, great kisser. We were in her room, and then her man came in. And
wait a minute.
Yeah.
I didn't sign up for this.
Right. And once her man came in, I just couldn't. I was I finished, kissing her, and then I was out. I just couldn't.
I thought we were going to have a good time. This is bringing back college.
Right. I just, and there's things in my past that I have agreed to do when it wasn't full consent, in my soul. Yeah. And I think that was probably the last time that I considered going against what my spirit wanted. Yeah. And so I decided from then on that if it didn't feel right, I was going to say no. Yeah. And that was the beginning of that.
So good for you being like, nah, I'm good.
So I think I've told you about 3 experiences with women so far. And really the last physical experience was when someone that I knew from my past, and knew that I had fantasies about threesomes, offered to have one. So this was a guy that he was actually, I didn't smoke weed until I was 24. Uh-huh. And when I did, the first time I did was with him. Mm-hmm. And we just had this weed and sex type of relationship. Okay. And so we would just goof off and a lot of laughs with him. And he knew, and so that I wanted to have a threesome. So he offered, and once again, I'm meeting this woman for the first time, and it was a great experience. So good for her that she asked him to have a one-on-one with me.
That's right.
Get my information. But me and my Seinfeld, there's one thing wrong with you. Yeah, I can't get past.
I actually don't like your ears.
There was something else going down on her. The new growth just was slicing my face. Ladies, wax. Stop shaving.
Angie, what? Angie, I thought I was going to have to prompt you for these things. Okay. Tip, ladies, make sure you're prepared and that you are waxed because you could miss an opportunity.
The stubble. If you don't like stubble on a man, don't be stubbly. Okay, it hurts. So I didn't have another experience with them, and I remember the guy was like, "I thought you were going to be so shy." and I warned her that she was going to have to like come on to you, but you were the complete opposite. And I think that I have a lot of, I don't even know if it's masculine. I don't say it's masculine. I say it's like domineering. I'm like a type A dominant type of person.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I like to be in my soft era as well. And I think I can turn it on and off. But for the most part, especially when I'm with women,
You're more
like
sexually assertive.
Person. Yeah.
How and when did you tell your husband? Did you tell him while y'all were dating, or did he know that because he knew you for so long, or what did that conversation look like?
Yeah, so when we first met in the beginning, getting to know each other, I told him that I had a threesome. And then when I found out I was pregnant and we tried to make it work again, I told him, why we weren't together. I was, briefly dating a woman in college. So he knew about these experiences, but he never tied it to an orientation. This was just, experiences. This isn't a part of who you are and something that you need in your like everyday life. So he knew, but it wasn't probably until we moved to Denver, got married in 2016, and then the pains of marriage. Marriage is not easy. There's like they say, it's I think the first 7 years can be the hardest, and so going through those challenges, I decided that I think that you need to know that this is something I want, and I'm tired of like not being able to access that part of my pleasure and that part of my life and who I am.
Yeah. But where did you get the courage to do that? Were you like, was it like in an argument, or was it like this part of you that you were like, the only way I can stay in this marriage is by letting him know this, and he has to be okay with it?
Yeah. Well, during our marriage, we have sought counseling, either for general, just maintenance, or specific issues. We even have gone to a sex therapist, and I think it was through sex therapy and my own personal therapy that my personal therapist was telling me to live authentically, live in full integrity with your life. And until you live in full integrity with your life, you're always going to run into problems. And so it was through couples counseling and individual counseling that I got the strength to speak up.
Wow. And so what did he say?
He was confused, not necessarily taking it seriously, asking questions, kind of deciding, if this could work and what it would look like. But unless I've said, hey, during our marriage, I've been with a woman, or I know someone and I want to explore it, if it's not in his face, if I don't have like a woman that I'm ready to be with, it's not something I think that he could really fully put his arms around. Like, is this something that's going to be now in our life?
Got it.
Because even though I've told him that, a couple of years ago, nothing's happened.
Oh, so since you've told him that, so was it like but is it an agreement that you all have that if you were to meet a woman that you're interested in, like you would let him know, and like would he approve or disapprove, or are you just like, here's a heads up, or what does that look like?
I don't know. I don't know fully, because I could say what it's gonna be, but if that I haven't necessarily like had that like agreement with him. So for the most part, getting to know someone, meeting someone, I probably would just happen organically, and I wouldn't necessarily feel the need to say anything unless like I was like sexually attracted and considering or having thoughts like that. So I think we're really just taking it as it happens. But like I said,
that's so scary.
I'm like, there's not a whole lot of like, well, let me just say this. I want to say that there's not a whole lot of like lesbian bars that I know of, or gay bars, or queer bars. And then the ones I know of have issues, like the owner's awful or racist or something that. But also, I'm not a lesbian. I don't identify as a lesbian. So I also don't want to go into places where there are lesbians, and now it's, because I know people that have had problems being lesbian and dating and bisexual and getting serious and having complications. So, that's something that I don't even want to like get into.
Yeah. I always hear that about like people who identify as bisexual, like they feel like they're like the bottom of the ecosystem.
Absolutely. I identify openly as bisexual. I'm proud to be bisexual.
You've been attracted to women, but have seen like some things you don't always love in different women. Tell us like what you love.
Yes. Probably the top thing is the energy. The feminine energy. I'm attracted to femmes, and feeling that energy is almost like feeling that before you even see that person, like really see that person. So, and I'm a Pisces too, so I'm very like sensitive to people's aura and energy and moods. I may be like partially an empath. So I love the energy of women. I love the silly things. I love the brattiness. And
oh God, that's what I hate most.
You
it's
know,
like me dating a me. I'm like, oh God, leave me alone.
What's crazy though is even though I haven't been in like a full-blown relationship with a woman, like me being in a relationship, I feel like I would know how to handle that.
Yeah.
Because women, for the most part, I've met some like sweet, kind, gentle women who behind closed doors are cussing people out.
Psychotic.
Yes, yelling and shit. And so if there's just a little bit of brattiness, it's like, okay, that I can do it. You know, you're not psycho, but you're being authentic if you're being bratty.
Yes.
So it's the softness, it's the shape of women in all different sizes. It's the lips, it's the voice, it's the eyes, you know, it's everything that is woman. And so that's why I identify as bisexual, because I am attracted to both men and women. And so while I don't have a specific type.
I was just about to ask you that. What's your, you said femme, like what's your ideal type? I guess physically and non-physical, like everything, your ideal type of woman that you'd be attracted to.
Yeah, probably someone within 2 inches of me, either 2 inches taller or 2 inches shorter, right there, but like not super short or maybe not super tall. Curvy, definitely maybe high maintenance. Really takes time to take care of themselves, you know, get their nails done, get their hair done, really pamper themselves like a girl's girl.
Yeah.
Someone that is goofy and silly and just likes to have a good time. Like someone smart, someone ambitious, someone that can teach me, because I'm going to teach you things and I want to learn from you as well. I'm all about like that reciprocal relationship where what you have to offer in life, what your passions are, what your skills are, you share with me and I share with you.
Yes.
I love a dreamer. That's, you know, Nubian Dreamers, my Instagram. I love people who dream. I love people who fantasize. I love people who can hold a conversation and can be interesting and witty. I love witty banter. You know, someone that's quick-witted as well. There's just so many things, but hopefully that helps.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. And let me see, what was the, I guess another follow-up question to that is, what is a special moment that you've had with a woman that remains in your mind?
Well, something I thought about after I said it, that the person in college that I, you know, had a fling with, that I didn't speak to her after I gave birth. And I think I did. I believe they went back to their hometown after college, and I was in town, and I reached out to them. And I remember we sat together and just had a real casual time. It wasn't sexual. I don't think we kissed, but we took a photo together. And I remember every time that photo came up on my timeline, you know, there's a bittersweet, like, you know, what if, but then there's also, there was just a complete understanding there. And I will say too, a misconception, which probably lesbian women have to deal with too, but a misconception in general about bisexuals is that they want you, they want everyone, and they'll sleep with everyone.
Yes.
Like,
that's why I didn't want to.
That's probably right. That's probably one reason I didn't come out.
They just freaky.
Like, they want me. If I haven't told you I want you, I don't want you, because I'm vocal.
Yeah, I'm like, y'all ain't about to throw me in that bucket. Nope.
Yes.
No labels.
I definitely do believe that people don't take it seriously, or because like they say you need to choose, or you're just being greedy, or whatever the silly, you know, dismissal is. But I am in Facebook groups for specifically bisexual women and bisexual and married women, and that's probably the toughest group to be in, because it's so many women telling how it went when they told their husband. And then it's also women that, because, you know, they are passing as straight, and because they're married to a man, they're having trouble finding a woman to date, and they want a serious relationship. They Some people maybe just want something sexual or casual. Some people actually want to have a girlfriend while they're married, and they have this part of them that is not able to be expressed. So, out of all the queer identifications, I think as bisexual, we're probably one of the hardest to actually express that.
I know you said y'all were just kind of taking it day by day, but when you thought about it in that part of you that you're like, I am interested in women. Obviously, I love my husband. I'm interested in men, but I am interested in women. Do you look at that, if I were to meet the woman that I am attracted to that doesn't have the 9 things wrong with her, am I just looking for that sexual connection, or am I looking for that emotional, intimate connection?
Yes, I'm married, and I know hands down my husband would not be okay with me being like emotionally intimate with someone.
Yeah.
So at that moment, I couldn't commit to anything relational. I, of course, maybe in my sexual peak, and I am like not necessarily willing to compromise that expression. And I think that what I'm looking for anyways is something that would be agreeable. So it's just, we probably have to, discuss it more. But of course, like I said, I'm just no one's approaching me. I'm not seeing anyone to approach. And I'm definitely a person that believes in fate, believes in like what's meant to be will be. And so that's probably why it hasn't happened, because I'm not forcing anything.
Yeah.
I just want it to happen naturally, organically. I did listen to your earlier podcast, and you talked a lot about Tinder. So I know that.
I love me some Tinder, okay?
I briefly was on Tinder, and I can't even remember what happened. Like, this is my Atlanta time, and I can't even remember sparking with anyone or matching with anyone. I don't know what happened, and that was in my prime.
It's just I just feel like, especially in Denver, when would you meet where and when would you meet these people? The people that I've met since I've been in Colorado that I've dated, they're all from Tinder, except for Candace. I met Candace on Instagram. She slid in my DMs, y'all. So, do you feel like you're missing out on something?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so you feel like you're missing out on something because you have that I guess that I don't want to say that urge. That sounds so
desire.
Mm-hmm. I just said FYI, y'all. Okay, so you told your husband. Have you told your family and friends? Do you feel the need to?
I came out on Facebook.
Oh wow!
I came out on Instagram and Facebook connected, so anyone that is friends with me saw it. My mom saw it. My sister saw it.
What did that look like? What did it say?
So I went to Pride. My first Pride was last year downtown Denver.
I saw this post. I remember this.
And
that was your coming out post?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that for you.
And before I came out, the one person that I told privately, besides my husband, was my son. Mm-hmm. And we were sitting on a bench outside a restaurant, and I was just letting him know. I was like, okay, before we go to Pride, I just want to let you know you're gonna see some body parts, okay? Uh-huh. You're gonna see some free expression, free spirits.
How old is your son?
He's 14.
Okay.
Just letting him know this is our first Pride. And I said, I'm super excited to go because I identify as bisexual. Uh-huh. And he was like, cool.
Oh,
and that's one thing I just love about, the younger generation is it's not a big deal.
It's not. They're like, maybe I am. I love that. I love that. So children are growing up isolated and feeling alone and ostracized. It's like,
I mean, he watched one of his favorite shows, involved a same-sex couple. One of his favorite cartoons growing up. So I think that children absolutely are desensitized to it. It's not a stigma or anything that you have to be ashamed about. They learn from the beginning that be who you are.
Yeah.
Love who you are.
Yeah.
Show who you are.
On your coming out Facebook post, did anyone, you say you were sure that your family and friends saw it, did anyone ask you about it directly?
Nope.
No. How did that make you feel? Did you want them to ask you about it?
No.
You were just to make sure.
Yeah, because when we think about sex in the bedroom, I mean, it's really, unless you're on OnlyFans or Pornhub, it's really just what's going on between y'all.
Right.
So I think that that's one reason, why also I didn't come out. Anything that I would do is behind closed doors and really none of anyone's business. But I think once I started to feel like longing and desire and realizing that there are so many of my friends that are proud to be queer, and I'm proud, why not just say it? Let people know, especially when I was opening a business, and every time they ask you, are you part of the LGBTQ community? Are you part of the community?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, I am.
Yeah.
And that's something that people want to know about. We own an inclusive business that caters to everyone. We work with a lot of same-sex couples of any gender. And that's something that I want people to know, is that you're coming to an inclusive space. You're coming to someone who identifies similar to you and that welcomes you and appreciates you.
Yes, I love that. I love that so much.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think some of the common misconceptions are about being married to a man and identifying as bisexual?
There may be some misconceptions that we've turned that side of us off, that how can we identify as bisexual if we're literally committed to someone of, a different gender. And so it's confusing for people. So maybe they make their own assumptions, but I necessarily, in this year of coming out, I haven't had any ignorant comments or questions, or really no one's too curious about it.
Yeah. They're like, okay, whatever. Okay. I have two more questions.
Yeah.
So you came out last year and you didn't have to, for all intents and purposes. Like you said, you're married and you and your husband had talked, so you didn't have to openly say this. You honoring yourself. Has it helped your personal growth?
Absolutely. One of my favorite books is The Four Agreements. And it talks about being impeccable with your word.
Yes.
And so the word needs to speak life into others as well as yourself. Never use the word against yourself. So just living life out loud and appreciating life and wanting to attract the type of things that I want in my life, you have to speak it. You have to claim it openly. So I think that's coming out has just helped me to accept that part of me fully, live in full integrity with myself, and hopefully eventually attract it.
Yes. You're so courageous and bold. I love this, Angie.
Thank you. I know, right?
We have went all, look, we started here and went all the way around the map. Okay, so my very last question is, what advice would you give to a woman who is bisexual, married to a man, and does not come out, does not want to, has not told anyone? What advice would you give to her?
I would say to get a therapist, talk to a third party, talk to someone who's trained to work through these psychological crossroads in your life, and have someone that can really give you sound advice, a licensed therapist or a life coach, and then find ways to express yourself. I may not be engaging with a woman physically, but I find ways to still express myself. So whatever works for you, express yourself. Don't hold that part of yourself back, and find your support group. I think it's called Bisexual Married Women group on Facebook. It's probably one of the most popular ones, and I would join that. And I've never commented on anything. I've never posted anything, but just reading the stories, I feel like I'm a part of that community and have shared experiences with them.
Oh my God, Angie, this was so much fun. Thank you. I appreciate you coming and sharing this with me, sharing it with us. And thank y'all. We'll see you next time. Anything else you want to share?
No, I gotta go.
Bye. As always, remember, you define you. Do not let others define you. Thank y'all so much for joining us for another episode of the Fake Straight Podcast. You can follow us on all the socials at Fake Straight Pod. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell us what you want to hear more of. Tell us what you love, what you didn't love. All that good stuff. And until next time, holla.